In this video, we're going to the Strawberry Festival Cruise-In, which is my hometown event. There's always a great turnout of cars there. This year was bigger than ever, and this is a pretty cool event because it's kind of like a family reunion, a high school reunion, and a hot rod reunion all mixed into one. There's always some neat stuff to look at, so let's get into it. Now, leading up to the event, I told myself if the weather's good, I'm going to drive the Henry J. And this old car is not made for the road, but we drove it anyways. 468 big block Chevrolet, 350 turbo transmission, 538 gears out back. I mean, this thing is not happy on the highway, but we made it to town. Part of that involved running out of gas before we ever even made it to the highway, which I don't have a fuel gauge, and I just assumed, as some people do, that I had enough gas to at least get me to town. I did not. Lucky for me, I've got some great neighbors and some great friends that came and rescued me there on the side of the road and got us on our way to town. And this car got a lot of attention from kids, from old guys, from young guys, from just everybody who walked by it. You know, it stood out in the crowd, let's say it that way. It was not like the others. There was a full line of brand new Corvettes sitting right across from me, and this car was not that. We had a blast with it, and there was a lot of neat stuff at the show that I figured you guys would want to see. A pretty good mixture of hot rods and muscle cars, a few cool Corvettes thrown in the mix, and you know, a lot of modern stuff too, but we're going to stick with the cool old school vintage stuff. So let's kick it off with the first thing that grabbed my attention was this old Chevrolet pickup truck. And this thing is perfect for the Strawberry Festival, the perfect color combination. You can see it's got this sort of satin finish on it, wide white wall tires on there, red artillery wheels. It's a neat looking pickup truck, and then in the back of it, we've got a giant inflatable strawberry for the occasion. Next up, we got a really neat Mustang. Now, you don't see a lot of these early Mustang coupes given this road race treatment, but this one's got a really cool look. You can see on the inside it's got a roll bar, racing seats, it's got harnesses, all the right stuff for going fast. And on the outside it's got the Boss 302 stripes, but more importantly it's got fender flares, it's got molded rocker panels, side pipes, Mercury Cougar taillights out back, it's got American Racing 5-spoke wheels and some big wide tires. And then under the hood you got some serious Ford horsepower. You got aluminum heads, single plane intake manifold, and then you've got some creature comforts too, like air conditioning. You got electric fans, aluminum radiator. This thing is set up for driving and driving hard. And then moving on up the road here, we've got Donnie Dillard, Terry Dillard, and Tommy Dillard. The Dillard boys here, they go to a lot of car shows together and drive some really neat cars. Donnie's got the 69 Camaro, Terry, which is my next door neighbor, got the 35 Ford, and then his brother Tommy's got the Chevrolet pickup truck we see here. Now, Tommy trades around on a bunch of cars and trucks too, but he seems to like this Chevrolet pickup pretty well. Here's another car that's owned by a buddy of ours. This is a little 26 or might be a 27 Model T coupe. Now, this is owned by Philip Cagle. Everybody calls him Winky, and he's the mayor of Pikeville, Tennessee, and he is all about hot rods and race cars. And he's kind of mixed those two worlds with this little Model T because it's a hot rod, but he also drag races it. He's got this thing set up pretty cool. It's got some Hoosier tires on there, some smoothie wheels with baby moon caps, and then for horsepower, it's got a small block Chevrolet. And you'll see on top of that small block, it's got 3 Holley 2-barrel carburetors, and all of this is tuned by Tom Pelfrey. They got this thing running pretty good. This is actually one of the cars I got to line up and race when I took the Henry J down to Brander Motorsports Park. Now, he and I had both been fighting some issues that day, and we were able to make a pretty decent pass together, but I know that we both have more in our combinations, and one of these days we'll need to line up again and see what they'll really do. Next up, we got the Pikeville gang. Now, there's a lot of good cars and good trucks and good people in Pikeville, Tennessee, and they came over here across the mountain to take part in the Strawberry Festival cruise-in. Check out this early Thunderbird. They got some real good looking wheels on there. And then sitting next to it is Denny George's 55 Chevrolet. Now, this car has been around for well over 30 years. This old car has had some miles put on it. The paint, it's got a little bit of age on it, but this thing is holding up really well, and it's a really neat looking combination. This car sits just right, big giant Mickey Thompson tires on the back with weld wheels, and then you'll see that he's actually changed to a rocket wheel on the front of it, and he's updated the interior to a more modern tan leather interior. This car is definitely one of my favorites from Denny's collection. And then sitting next to it is his wife's car. This is Carla's sedan, and this is a very good looking street rod. Now, it doesn't have any kind of crazy engine combination. This is a car they can get in, go down the road, and go to these cruise-ins and just have a good time with it. Finishing out the Pikeville boys is Stacy DeBoer's 66 Chevelle. Now, this thing is a slick and fresh car, big block under the hood, aluminum heads. You see it's got air conditioning. This thing is ready for the highway. This is a 65 Corvette convertible. It has the optional hardtop. And the thing that stood out to me is that someone, somewhere along the way, made these fender wells rounded. These wheel openings were originally sort of a rectangular shape, and somebody made them round, put a nice little flare on there, and did some excellent fiberglass work to mold it all in. And obviously the paint's been on here for a while, but whoever did this work did a great job because it is in great shape. No issues as far as the body work coming back, bubbling up, blistering up. This car's got a great look. Here's another cool one. This is a 47 International truck, and it is sitting right on the ground. It's got some black steel wheels, some skinny Firestone tires on there. And the fun part about this truck is it gets driven a lot. Now, Josh Kaler owns this truck, and he's owned it for lots of years. And we worked on this thing back when we were in high school together. We both went to the auto body class there in high school. Joe Austin was our teacher, and he was all about helping us learn about body work and paint work. And we didn't do modern collision work. We mostly just worked on old cars. So we worked on this truck a little while there, and then Josh kind of took it from there and finished this thing out. You'll see that it was painted and now has some primer spots, but this thing is really neat. And it's cool that Josh and I share some of those memories and even got to drive this thing after both of us ended up getting a job with Buckaroo Communications that moved here to our hometown of Dayton, Tennessee. We both got basically our dream job to go work for a hot rod magazine. So we got to drive this thing to Good Guys Nashville, to the Street Rod Nationals in Louisville, Street Rod Nationals South in Knoxville. I mean, this truck has a lot of miles on it going to hot rod shows. So really neat to see it here in our hometown. We see it all the time, but it might not be something you've ever seen, so I wanted to share it here. Next up is a pretty neat car from the 70s. This is a Ford Gran Torino, and I believe this is the Sport Edition. And this is a super clean car. You can see under the hood is super nice. But what got my attention are these Krager Super Slot wheels, which were made famous by Bob Glidden in the 1980s. These are a really cool wheel that you rarely see in the wild today. You might see a picture or an old magazine ad or an article or something about them, but you just don't see them out getting used. So seeing them in really good condition, they keep them polished up and looking good on this car is really neat, and it gives this car kind of the perfect 80s street machine look. Now, if you go to car shows or cruise-ins, you're going to see a lot of second generation Trans Ams and Firebirds, especially of the Smokey and the Bandit variety. But this one is an extremely rare example. This is called the Macho TA. Now, they didn't make very many of these things, made them just for a few years, and it was a really rare option package. And this is a 1979 model, and there was only 96 of them built. So these cars don't get a lot of recognition because they are so rare, but this one is a really great example. It's a rare car, but it's still out there getting used. Up next is a cool little hot rod, a low slung T-bucket roadster. And this thing was for sale, obviously by the huge for sale sign on it. But really cool looking setup here. Old school small block. You can see nothing real crazy on the engine, but the suspension on this car, the tire and wheel package, the color, the stance, it's got a really neat look, and it's something you can get in and have some fun with without spending a whole lot of money. Now, if you do want to spend a lot of money, you could get a Lamborghini and make it look like a Tennessee State Patrol car. If you got the money to play around like that, you're gonna get a lot of attention, and that's exactly what this car gets wherever it goes. Now, I thought this next one is cool because it's sort of a what if car. So it started as a 69 Chevelle Malibu convertible, which was already a pretty cool car to begin with, even if it had the most basic small block. But under the hood is a 427 big block Chevrolet with Corvette tri-power induction. So 3 two-barrel carburetors and that iconic triangle-shaped air cleaner. This is a really neat combination, definitely a high dollar combination, and it makes this cool convertible even cooler. Now this next one caught me off guard a little bit because it's a pretty cool truck. I mean, it's kind of your standard mid-30s Chevrolet pickup truck street rod. And you can see it's got a pretty good stance. It's got 5-spoke wheels, it's got some big 285 tires on the back that fill out those rear fenders nicely. And then on the tailgate, you can see the paint is starting to really come apart. It's starting to flake off of there. But you can still see the lettering there, Chevy. Somebody did that many, many years ago, and then obviously they added the 36 later. It kind of looks like mailbox numbers. But what really shocked me about this truck is it looks like a traditional street rod that might have been built in the 70s or 80s. But when you look under the hood over here, you have a supercharged LS engine. So this LSA engine makes well over 500 horsepower and probably sends this little pickup truck down the road really nice. Now this next car is probably one of the most high-end custom builds that's ever been in Dayton, Tennessee. This is a Ford Galaxy that was built by Greening Auto Company. Jesse Greening is one of the premier street rod builders in the country, and he built this car for Rick Ritchie, and this thing is just unbelievable. The body work, the paint, the fit and finish, every piece of this thing is immaculate. It's got a Coyote under the hood with some custom details, all sorts of custom panels under the hood, a great stance. Tire and wheel package is pretty much a one-off setup. This thing is amazing. All right, we go from a customized Ford to a very traditional Chevrolet. So this is a 64 Chevrolet Biscayne two-door sedan, and what really gets me going is what's under the hood. This is a 409, and this thing is set up just right. It has that giant chrome air cleaner for dual quads. It's got air conditioning. This thing has a manual transmission, plain old steel wheels and dog dish caps, and a cool stance. This is a really cool sleeper and a great piece of Chevrolet history. Now here's another cool street rod that's been around Dayton for quite a long time, and it has had some updates through the years, but still, same old car, been running these roads for many, many years. And this belongs to Nelson Scoggins, and I can't remember if this is a Dodge or a Plymouth. You guys might have to help me out with that, but looking like maybe a 33 or 34 Dodge or Plymouth coupe, sitting right on the ground. It's got some Halbrand style wheels on it, bright red paint, and this is just your quintessential street rod. Next up is Dwayne Guffey's fresh out of the shop Model A two-door sedan. Now he's been picking away at this car for quite a few years, getting the chassis dialed in, getting the engine and transmission combination, the brakes, the tire and wheel combination, which he has 2 different sets of tires and wheels that he can switch out. He's got black steel wheels, or he has these polished slotted mags. He has this thing looking really cool. You can see he's painted the frame, he's detailed everything underneath, and then on the outside, he's done quite a bit of work to the body, even though it kind of looks like he just found it this way. He's put a lot of work and a lot of hours into this old hot rod. Now, I don't know the full details on the combination on this Chevy Nova, but it sounded rowdy, and it looked like the type of car that probably shouldn't have been driving on the road to get here, but either way, it's super cool. It's got those fender exit headers, the Sunoco style scoop on the hood, fiberglass body panels, I'm assuming, or maybe even carbon fiber, beadlocks on the back, sheet metal wing. I mean, this thing is set up for the drag strip, but he's out here rumbling around on the street. Now here's one for the Mopar guys. This Super B is absolutely immaculate. I love the color combination. You can see the white interior. This thing has a bench seat. You'd think most Super Bs would be bucket seat, console, 4-speed, but this one does not have that equipment, and it's still equally as cool. So this car has a 383 under the hood with air conditioning, a column shifted automatic transmission. This thing was a very comfortable car that looked like a super bad muscle car from back in the day. So pretty neat combination of options here. And I liked how it looked with the painted steel wheels. They've obviously put a little bit bigger wheel on there than what it would have come with from the factory, and it gives this car a really cool look. One of the coolest attractions at the Strawberry Festival this year was actually not even connected directly to the cruise-in. It was actually a special display on its own, and it was Eddie Munster, and he takes the Dragula around and displays it at different shows and different events. And he had it on display here at the Strawberry Festival, and I thought it was so cool to be able to walk around this car and hear some stories about his childhood, you know, being on the set of this big TV show. The Munsters was a big deal in the 60s, and he was right there with it when he was a kid. He was right there when this car was built, and obviously it was made famous on the TV show where this car and the Munsters coach, I mean, they were iconic custom builds by George Barris, and this one is still living today. You can see the body on this thing is a casket, and you can see that little globe opens up. That's where you sit. And this thing has a small block Ford in it, which would have been brand new at the time that this car was built. It has a cross ram intake on it with 2 4s, and then of course those famous headers that look like organ pipes sticking up. And he actually fired it up while I was right there. I was able to get some video of that, which pretty much made my whole weekend to be able to hear this car making some noise. I think it was just cool that he got to spend some time here in Dayton, and that all these local car guys got to check this car out up close and personal.